And so to line 180, where we are once again introduced to January, of whom I told. Now, January has spent his time considering about his need for a wife, thinking about the lusty life, the virtuous quiet that is in marriage, honey sweet. And you can feel the irony dripping from that particular phrase. He summons his friends to tell them of his decision. He tells them, I am hoar and old, I am grey and old, almost God woot on my pit spring. So he is on the brink of his grave. And remember that we are getting all of this direct speech from January himself, of course. But he says, upon my soul somewhat must I think. So he draws up a distinction between the body and the soul and claims that this decision that he has arrived at to find himself a wife is all about the salvation of his soul. So he's decided, I will be certain, a wedded man, and that anon in all the haste I can. So he's in something of a hurry to get this done, and he requests that his acquaintances, who he claims are better placed to espy on my side, to whom I may be wedded hastily, that they, with their better contacts and better knowledge of the world of women, that they go out there and espy for him and find him a suitable partner. However, he does give them one stark warning, one stark requirement. I will noon old wife Han in no manner, she shall not pass 20 year certain. So he sets an age limit on his would-be wife, and he explains this by way of numerous idiomatic phrases and analogies. Old fish and young flesh would I have fain. Bet is, quoth he, a pike than a pickerel. Bet than old beef is the tender veal. So lots of these images relating to animals, relating to food, all of course relate to the sort of sensual physical desires, particularly when he's describing women in terms of food and tender veal. I will know woman 30 year of age, it is but bean straw and greet forage. So in other words, you would feed the kind of old raddled beef you would use as forage. You wouldn't use it as a great sumptuous meal. He decides instead, these old widows, God woot, that can so much craft on wades boot, so much broken harm, when that hem list, that with hem should I never live in rest. In other words, an older wife has had more time to learn mutual craft. She's had time to sort of develop her skills for duplicity and deception, and she wouldn't give him the peace and tranquility that he imagines he's going to find in his married life. Again, another little idiomatic phrase, for sundry skulls make subtle clerks. In other words, if they've been schooled at a number of different places, they will be subtle with their arts of deception. Women of many schools, half a clerk is. But certainly a young thing may men gee. So in other words, he may guide a young thing, right as men may warm wax with hands ply. So such a pivotal metaphor, this one, the idea of the warm wax on which he will be able to imprint his desires and his wishes and mould his wife in the way that he believes he wants to. Wherefore I say you plainly in a clause, I will noon old wife Han right for this cause. So he is very much determined, set upon this path. He will not accept an older wife. For if so were, I had such mischance, that I in here nor can have no pleasance, then should I leave my life in a vouchery. In other words, if he had to make do with an old wife, he wouldn't be able to contain himself to her and would just be off sowing his seed around the town and be indulging in adultery and go straight to the devil when I die. No children should I none upon her getten, yet were me liever hounds had me eaten than that my heritage should fall in strange hand. And this I tell you all. So again, another very, very strong message there from January. His desire to keep hold of his property and not endanger it, that it might fall into bastard hands, and I mean that in the more literal sense of the world, and that very graphic image. He would rather hounds eat him than his property should fall into strange hands.